Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to BioShock Remastered. I almost said BioShock Infinite. So, we're crazy into taking photos. Kind of the good news is there aren't too many other styles of splicers in this game, so if we take a bunch of photos right now, it's not like a whole nother set of enemies is going to appear. And see, I don't have the money really to hack anything for it to make sense, to be worth our time. I now have this search again option, which I can do. Here's a Big Daddy wandering around looking for little sisters he'll never find. I think he's actually walking the way I'm supposed to go. Yeah, he is. Since we've freed and helped all the little sisters. Come on, pick up that other. Can I get the other bullets back there? There we go. So the reason why it's actually kind of bad for the engine, the way they've designed this, to give you the option to search anywhere, search everything twice. It makes these things have to stay around for a lot longer than they would in a normal game. Oh, you know what though? Come to think of it, how about we take a picture of a Big Daddy or a Rosie? Yeah, all of a sudden it makes a lot more sense to take pictures of these guys. Like, if I can do more damage to a Rosie or a Bouncer, which are the two major Big Daddy's styles. I'm not sure there actually is even a third style. Then that would be significantly helpful. Let's see. Go ahead and break these and get the... Yeah, if you don't know that trick, I imagine you spend a much more difficult time in Rapture. And so dead, score too low, can't do it. So I'll have to get new and imaginative higher scores. Because I can't just come here and do this. Scores too low.
Don't you know there's a clue that holds Rapture together? Really? You betcha. Ryan Industries has seen to it that they're bred to be as happy as clams.
And here's Wrench Lurker. When fighting with stronger or faster than yourself, you need every advantage possible. Wrench Lurker allows you to make the most of your opportunities when you catch your antagonist off with art. So if you snuck up behind him, your wrench ability would be stronger. Honestly though, you're not going to play this game like that. And I don't think I want to purchase anything more. Where are you? Splicer. Let's take another slice picture and hope it pushes us over. There we go. That's a lot of frag grenades I just used. Let's... It's a very strange shooter where you're just constantly, if you're a player of average skill, I'd say, you're constantly trying to refill your health and using your health. I'm dying here. Like, it's still not enough. Wow.
They sure go down easy once you research them up right. Come on in and show us those snappy snappies.
See, these splicers are even stronger than Big Daddies right now, and that's just not the correct way it should be. Let's see.
Welcome to
So this guy's gonna show us some research stuff, I hope, and we can use that research. Like, every single corpse everywhere has a secondary search. It's just crazy. It's a silly way to make a game. Buckshot, bullets, whiskey. Is anybody shooting at me, or is that someone else? Alright, this guy wanted the camera, let's give him to him. Finally we moved the story forward, it's been a while.
The brat didn't get himself that. You got something from me and my crew? Or are you just looking to get criticized? You sit here a spell. I needs to set on some coffee. Maybe put on silverware and the like.
So this isn't gonna be good.
Before you head into the fisheries, a word to the wise. Old Peachy seems about as straight as a dog's hind leg. You keep your eyes open.
Nobody walks into my swampy carrying the heat. Put your weapons in the pneumo, and then I'll let you in.
So...
If that's his price, you're gonna have to pay it. But he can't very well take your plasmas away now, can he?
So... Interesting. You can't take a picture of this, can you? Nope, no subject in view. No subject in view. No subject in view. So I'm about to lose all my plasmids. All my things except for plasmids. Too fewer overload tiles when hacking. So they're being nice about it and giving me Eve and this gene swap station. But all my weapons are going bye-bye. So I have the camera, the wrench, and my genes. And that's it. And we're going to use, I think, fire mostly here to melt things like this. Automatic hacking tools, health, things like that. Search in here. Of course, I could have just sent in the camera and then nothing else. There's a lot of explosive stuff going on here. A fog.
devil says. Sure thing, Mr. Fontaine. I'll hold you a spot. Ryan promised Fontaine was dust, and now here you are doing his dirty. I guess that makes Ryan a bum, and you a...
UA. So he's going to kill me. That's what I figured. That's what I figured was going to happen here. All these pieces going in the wrong direction. There we go. I only need one straight down piece here. Let's get some action shots while we can. Kind of just want to leave them alone. So we've got these explosives things going on, and so Splicer, get up there. Increase that damage up to 3. Alright. Now, for this one, I can't really do anything, so just incinerate it. Because that's about all the damage I need to do. There we go, we'll go ahead and retrieve our weapons. Oh, I guess I could have jumped up here and... Oops. Guess that would have worked. So, if you really couldn't have taken on that fight without some help, then I guess you could have just run to the end. Oops, I just lost an Eve doing that. Gotta make sure to actually take things before I hit search again. Let's see. So, yep, that was a trap. We're looking around. Fish hanging here. Let's see. Melt that. Melt that. Subject research complete. I don't have to deal with that one. And that is a letterhead splicer. So, no more leatherhead splicers being an issue. Let's see. There's a couple of no subjects in view because they aren't actually search again. I don't want the cigarettes. I'll take the money. So these are the police in blue, I guess, but the other ones look like police too. I guess they just kind of all look the same. Let's continue wandering around this area. I'm mostly looking for money, I guess. Let's see, I think I'm gonna finish research and all of that. What is this? Automatic hack tools, if I hack them. See, if I hack this and succeed, which I'm hoping I can, oh darn it. Is there a way? No, come on, work. Give me the right pieces. I need a straight up piece. And then I need a corner piece. There we go. That was kind of tough. Two automatic hack tools. Getting me up to 4. That's something I would like to maintain on that amount. Guess we're gonna stay on incinerate. Let's move forward now. Oh no. This is it. This is the point. I love the melting ice concept. Again, not really used in games going forward. So you're wasting a little bit of Eve every time you do this if you don't get anything out of it. Might be a wiser move to actually look and see if there's.
I'm just lonely. I'm lonely.
So a couple different ways. So one hit straight with this is now all it takes to kill a leatherhead splicer.
Hey!
But let's look at this. Upgrade weapons. So, ooh. Interesting. Pistol damage increased? Or pistol clip size increased? Quadruples the clip size of it. Damage increase would be better than clip size. Machine gun damage increase, kickback reduction. Honestly, I don't feel like the machine gun has that much of a kickback. Shotguns fire faster. Shotgun increases damage. grenade launcher damage, immunity, auto-generated shapes charge, immune to damage from your own grenades, damage increase for the grenade launcher. So these things don't actually cost money to upgrade, but you're limited to finding them. Interesting. That puts a different twist on it.
This isn't over.
It's a dud. That was one of the things we researched. And of course I can continue to take pictures of this guy. So I don't need to save money at all, do I? When it just gets down to it,
Fontaine's putting the screws on us, and double. He's squeezing us out of 80 points of our cut with the threat of turning us into Ryan if we don't play ball. Son of a bitch. Sammy G comes and tells me he's thinking of going to the constable. And the next day, Sammy G was found in a sack in a salt pond. We got no choice here. We stay on Fontaine's crew and we're gonna catch the gallows. We take the powder. We end up like Sammy G. Oh, there's gotta be another way.
again, it would probably be better in the story. Well, not again, I haven't ever said this before, but it probably would be better in the story if Fontaine was moving some cargo a little bit more dangerous than Bibles and such. I'm not gonna make this. There's no way I'm gonna find that right piece. Too late, that was it. See, let's go ahead and auto hack. We use an auto hack, we get an auto hack, fine. That's a good deal, I suppose. So that's just like a freezer. And there's like nothing here. Like, we don't know what the movies really are, but they're just movies. Well, we're not really seeing...
You can't quit. Fontaine will find you. Hey, fuck Fontaine. You don't fuck Fontaine. Fontaine fucks you.
So, remember the ghosts? Yeah, they're in this game for some reason. I really don't like the search again feature. It actually just wastes twice as much of your time. Hey, and we can now
One of the biggest challenges Irrational faced when developing BioShock was figuring out a way to retain the feeling of a deep RPG while making the game accessible to a broader console audience. Ultimately, the team succeeded in creating an intricate system of weapon and character upgrades that gave the player choice and customization while keeping the gameplay fast, lean, and engaging.
I guess, yeah, as an actual RPG, you really don't have any upgrades except for the weapons upgrades and the researching with the camera. If you take those two things out, this is a straight shooter with no RPG.
One of the hallmarks of BioShock, to me at least, was that it really blended RPG and sort of first-person action games together in a way that
on
sort of
RPG.
Standard today, but a decade ago was really pretty revolutionary. And I know for the team, I think at some point it became clear that you wanted this to work on consoles, not on PC, right?
Well, both, yeah.
Yeah. But so the idea of doing a console game and a PC game, and doing something that sort of felt like a shooter but had much more depth. And I know in some of the early design
when you look at like something that came out later, like
FPS
Borderlands,
versus an
how
RPG
RPG game that game is
between those two?
with every gun having different
the big difference between System
stats.
Shock and BioShock ended up being that System Shock was more about your character growth and BioShock was more about the environment. Because with System Shock, we really didn't have System Shock 2. We didn't really have either the art team to make enough assets or the visual power to sort of make a really convincing environment. But as we started working on BioShock, the art team was so strong that the ability to tell a story within the environment became the most important thing about the game. And that was sort of not something we thought right at the beginning. That was not really a concept we had. But as we started building things, we could realize that the visual world was the star of this thing. That Rapture was really the star of this thing. And telling the story outside of cutscenes, telling it in the world, so the gamer could discover the story rather than us telling him the story, telling him or her the story. And it was still very much for the time, I think for the time, quite different than what you had seen in terms of there wasn't a lot of growth in shooters. So it was still, I think, for the time, very, very revolutionary. But I think System Shock 2 was even more ahead of its time in terms of that growth thing, because we defocused a little bit. Primarily, part of it was just figuring out how to do that all on a console controller was very tricky.
So the thing about the Ghost is they could have just had splicers where all the ghosts were talking.
You see a plasma, you see like a upgraded weapon. Like, I've never seen that before in a shooter. And that was, when you were coming out of the sort of, the Quake, Doom, Half-Life, where it's like you have, 8 weapons on the keyboard and you sort of knew what they were and they weren't going to change. Yeah. Shawn, was that something that, from a sort of creative standpoint, was it always clear that that was something you guys wanted to do, or it evolved over time because you wanted to have more depth in the game?
I mean, it certainly evolved over time, and each upgrade path was slightly had its own unique challenges. Like certainly upgrading the weapons, you had to design a base weapon that didn't feel like crap. Still felt like something that you wanted to use, but then the ability to add the upgrades to that, and each of the upgrades could come in any order, so you have to be aware that this, parts A, B, and C could come in at any different time to upgrade the weapon. In a first-person shooter, that's your star. That's the thing that you're seeing all the time. When it comes to other things, plasmids, things that are,
Tonics.
Tonics, yes, sorry. It's been a while.
Come on, Shawn.
I know, it's 10 years. Those things were more offloaded to machines that you would then have to interact with, so you're not carrying the inventory around with you. But each of these decisions on how we're going to upgrade the player, it wasn't like a mouse and keyboard. Okay, we can just use the mouse, and you have all these buttons at your disposal.
You could arbitrarily point at a part of the screen really easily, which you could do in System Shock 2.
Yeah, so we certainly learned trial by fire when we were trying to adapt these things to the console at the time.
Yeah, and like having different ammo types and stuff like that. Like we went through numerous iterations of the interface to make it. Like we had the first times we sort of put the interface into play. It was very obtuse and very tricky to get your head around, and we just kept working on it and working on it and working on it because you want to feel like second nature. But that was, we spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, that really explains the weirdness with the passive abilities and having to go to a machine, is that they just didn't want it in the menu system.
What motivated the idea of having so much choice in the way you could sort of play through this game? What was it to give the player
it would be better in the menu system?
A better sense of authorship over the experience, or what was driving that?
I've always liked the idea of giving the player a lot of agency in terms of their play style and experimenting with the playstyle and trying different things.
That's not what they're doing when you have to go to a gene swap bank
the notion that
change
it's sort
the
of a playground that you get to play around with and imprint your own desire on was great, because I think we were more skeptical about being able to do that with story at the time. In fact, so much to the point where that became almost like a joke. That becomes the meta joke of the game, of how little agency you have in your story. But agency in terms of how you play the experience and how you load out your weapons and how you interact with the environment, as compared to most shooters at the time, where basically like you can shoot them with the shotgun or shoot them with the the pistol. That was really important to us. So we spent a lot of time trying to make the world react in a way that you would expect and hope it to react when you tried something.
Right. And some of those system or decisions we made about systems fed back into the narrative, like locking Adam behind Big Daddy and the little sister. Like you can't get Adam unless you deal with the Big Daddy, which then becomes a roving boss fight, which then becomes another system that I don't know if we planned that from the start or it was one of those happy, like, you know, serendipity, like, oh, this decision that we made about putting Adam behind the Big Daddy totally works because now we have a different type of boss fight that you hadn't really seen in other games.
Actually, it was the other way, because what happened was originally there was no concept of Adam, and Big Daddy just had money and other treasure on them, like every other splicer. Yeah. And they were so tough, nobody would ever fight them, because why on earth would you go after that guy?
Right, go off a bunch of small splicers and get the same amount, yeah.
So we had to come up with a currency that was exclusive to them, because we knew that was where the fun was, right? But we also knew people were terrified of them, and we didn't want to fight them. Yeah. So video game development and system development is a lot like economics, right? You know, in economics, you try to encourage certain behaviors through tax, usually through tax policy. You know, well, you want business growth, so you lower taxes on certain segments of the business economy, or you want to encourage, you know, people to move into this area.
Ironic, he's talking about
in here. We had to make an incentive for players to fight the Big Daddy, and Adam became that incentive. And then once you had this Adam, then you had a new piece of narrative, which they could then incorporate back into the story.
I don't want to taste the Adam fucking drink.
I believe this cutscene, by the way, had black bars on it when we watched it. But see, that might also just be because they're scaling up the resolution. If it was a 720p video and it's showing on the 1080p screen,
sort of whole
you would get black bars.
I guess what is kind of a tech tree, but you know, and coming from PC games, you know, used to strategy games and whatnot with very complicated ways
zooming in,
how you would upgrade things. I thought you guys did a really interesting approach to how you made it very accessible to a console audience. How did that evolve? Did you know the vending machines were going to be there from the get-go?
Well, we had vending machines in System Shock 2, so we were sort of lifting that, and I always thought that was a fun, notion because it's a affordance that people already understand. You know, they see a vending machine, they know immediately, oh, that's where I buy stuff, right? Yeah. And you also then have to have a shopkeep. When we talked about wanting to make things, put limitations on ourselves so things felt fully believable. Yeah. If we had a shopkeeper sitting there, you can't shoot him. He sits there, he doesn't say anything, and all of a sudden he feels fake. Where a vending machine, the Circus of Values machine, can feel 100% authentic. You know, despite the fact that it's selling like ammo and stuff like that. You know, which is.
But in an objectivist society where you don't have rules and regulations on that type of thing, it feeds back into the narrative.
But you don't then break the fiction at all by having these characters who sort of don't really live and breathe in the world. So the vending machines became an important part of that. But we still want to give them character, and hence and so that clown image came from a piece of that image is actually from like a fruit container or something from like the 1940s. Okay. And so we had a book of like royalty-free images, and I saw that image, and I'm like, let's put that clown on it, and we'll call it Circus of Values, and then we wrote lines for it, decided he'd be this sort of asshole clown, and then we hired the best actor in the world to play that part. That was me. What I cost my biggest Avengers, I didn't cost anything.
I didn't know you were really.
I was a clown. Yeah, no. I was a clown.
I hear it in my head every night.
My wife hates that voice. She hates that voice.
You can give us a little of it right here.
Welcome to the Circus of Values. She does not allow me to do that, so I do it outside of the house. Okay. But it allowed us to have something that felt very rich and very real, while being very limited at the same time.
And also, the plasmids and sort of the motif of sort of the videos and how you explain sort of what a plasmid was. That was a really fun way, I thought, to sort of explain that. Shawn, how did you guys evolve that? Because it was a very artistic approach.
I think those came on pretty late too, because we were developing all these systems.
You can kind of tell they were added late because they just pop up on the screen. It's not like you're looking at a TV or anything.
Who gets this game is going to understand what these systems are. And we always joke that you can't ship a developer with a game, or you can't expect somebody to have a README file for all of these things. Nobody's understanding what these plasmids are or how to use them. How do we present these to the audience in such a way that they're going to understand what it is fictionally and what it is functionally? Because Rob Waters did a lot of the animations on those, and we sit down and we write out like a little 30-second commercial of what this thing is. And again, because going back to the narrative, this is what would happen in Rapture. People are trying to sell these things, so they would come up with commercials to explain why you need this. Using that as your framework, you can then come up with all of these little gags that people will remember that have a little personality to them, but I think ultimately in the end weren't that expensive. to create because they're cheap.
I think that one of the most important things about it is we didn't want them to be long, and we didn't have a lot of budget for the art, so we have like a couple of frames of animation in them essentially. And so we had to figure out how do we message how this thing works in like that. And that's what marketing is, right? You know, it's how do you message how something works. And marketing and tutorializing are very similar things, right? You're trying to get a message across in a very brief period of time in a very snappy fashion. And I think that one of the things that I always felt about games is that tutorials are sort of death. And because they're usually like, you know, you go into a scene and there's like a shooting range or something like that, and
narratively they never really make sense either.
And they're so boring. And so we always try to put a big burden on ourselves of how do we train people while not letting them know they're being trained, and brevity is really important to that. So we had a bunch of art constraints in that, which also led to a bunch of writing constraints. And so those things were like, I don't even know if they were 30 seconds.
Yeah,
they were
like
really short. Yeah, like 15 seconds long. We had to explain a whole plasmid in that period of time. And I think that was a good exercise because it also made the game, it forced us to be concise and to really explain what this thing was like that.
It also pops up on the screen, so it forces you to see it. If it was on a TV and you could walk around, most players would actually pick up the plasmid and run away and not even see it. Now, some of the, like catching the nitro splicer's grenades there and throwing them back isn't actually a worthwhile plasmid to try to do that because you fail so often. So, like, we had Ghost here before we watched that kind of long commentary. It was actually shorter than the others. And if there was just the splicers here talking and you let the player shoot them or just leave them alone until they're done talking, then shoot them, it would be so much more like within the game. There's no real reason to force the player to see some of these conversations. They're just little add-ons to the story. And you can clearly see in the developer's mind, they said, well, we were originally going to have these as splicers, but we really want them to see the story, so then we'd have to make them immortal for a while, and then that would break the gameplay. So let's just make them ghosts so you can't shoot them anyways, and all of a sudden you have ghosts in your game when you don't have ghosts. You don't need ghosts in your game. By the way, this is the way out. Now, environment design. This game is kind of the pinnacle of environment design. We'll risk a crash here and save. When you look at a game that's much more modern, like Shadow of Mordor or The Witcher 3, both of those games are really good games.
You got it. Should be smooth sailing from here. I'll meet you up ahead.
Significant portions of Shadow of Mordor in particular are just this 3D rendered ground in a rocky area with some buildings in it. Significant portions of The Witcher 3 are just trees placed everywhere with some buildings every now and then. Almost in comparison, almost every inch here feels like it was hand placed, uniquely designed for the environment. And I want more games like that. So this is interesting. We're just walking through this tunnel and it loaded us into another section. Something that wouldn't happen in a modern game. This being a 9-year-old game. I want to call it a 10-year-old game, but it's 9-year-old. It kind of makes sense. All that. But like this area has no little sisters or anything in it. And it just... Let's see, I guess we're probably close to the Electrobolt section now, where we no longer need to worry. So pep bars are actually good for both. Let's look over here. We're getting flashes of our family.
But I can't get in. I need you for that. My family can't be more than 100 yards away.
So we're about to save Atlas's family. I guess I could drink the alcohol. What does the alcohol actually do? It increases health, but potentially gets me drunk. There's our Rydo chamber, so if we die, we'll come back here. And there's a circus of value. And so they give us a gene swap bank. It would be so much better, though, if we had just through the menu the ability to swap genes. Things. Until I get more slots for any of those things, I can't even really do anything with them. Smoke some cigarettes to get some more thing. Here's a pneumatic tube. Let's see. Do I even want to... Do I even want to do this, or do I just take a picture of it? I'm just taking the damage. I think I may have accidentally used 2 health things. One of the things, like, they're just smuggling in alcohol and food and, like, where are the bombs? Where are the weapons? Sure, maybe the people, the smugglers themselves have guns and stuff, but it seems like the rest of Rapture Society also is packing heat quite a lot too. So, like, here's a shotgun, here's a pistol, 1, 2 guns, and that's it.
We all come down here. Figured we all be part of Ryan's great chain. Turns out Ryan's chain is made of gold, and ours are the sort with the big iron ball around your ankle. He's up in Fort Frolic banging fashion models. We're down in this dump yanking guts out of fish. Fontaine's promising something better. He's like one of us, you know? Like he's worked a day in his life. He says meet him at his fish packing joint at 11. I'll go, bring a couple of guys. Hey, it's not like things could get a lot worse.
So, I think this is a tunneling device. I assume that's what that's supposed to imply. See, and the idea of a great chain for the society doesn't, like, make a ton of sense to me. If I'm gonna get drunk, I might as well drink all this Merlot and just like any alcohol I can find. If you're gonna be drunk, you might as well just sit here and get really drunk. I don't think you can actually die from it. Like, I'm starting to kind of feel, and I started the series talking about how I understood objectivism and libertarianism, which sort of comes from that, but they feel like
the control booth and let me in. I think it's time to shake hands and get acquainted.
What this society promotes wouldn't be what libertarians would promote today.
If you press that button, you'll learn what it means to truly be my enemy.
So Andrew Ryan's been spying on us, I guess. Like, I don't think that's what libertarians want these days, is that people working together and being a chain. They want everybody working on their own and with practically small partnerships at most, and that's kind of it. They don't want a great chain, they want handshakes, basically. They don't want cooperation, they want competition. And I guess that's the best way I can explain it. Now I'm drinking a lot of alcohol and then also smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee to get Eve. And I'm trying to do it in some intelligent way that it raises everything up and not just drinking one piece of alcohol and smoking one cigarette, which actually does nothing except for waste those 2 pieces of items. Yeah, I don't understand what this great chain concept is. It sounds ridiculous. Even the game is saying it doesn't really work because there's a lot of people working in the fisheries just like they would be working any other job and getting nowhere in life from it. So this is kind of just an entirely cutscene area, to be honest. Like, you have this whole section, and I could wander over here a little bit. You see the implications of a fight that will take place later on. But right now, as it is,
spent the morning jawing with that Kraut scientist. She's damaged goods, alright. Just like all those chumps they scraped out of them prison camps. But she's no crackpot. She's gonna... Can you hear me, family in the sub? Are they making any noise at all?
so we'll go back and listen to that. So his family is hidden in this submarine that's supposedly, I guess, a sneaky submarine for smuggling. Can't go here, so we have to go hit the button. Is there anything else up here? Nope. So I didn't hear his family in the sub. Oh well. It's not even a button. The dialogue said if you push that button you'll know what I do to my enemies or something along that line. And then there's a switch. This door's locked. This door's locked. All I can do is watch.
You blow a fuse up there! Can't see a damn thing in that booth! Give me a tick and I'll get you out of there! Moira! Can you hear me in there, darling?
So is that Atlas right there?
So, Mark, if only your friend could look up and see. Maybe only you could do something, anything, except just stand here and watch her.
So
they're everywhere! I can't hold them, got to fall back! Get me family out and we'll regroup as soon as we can!
So now I can only go to the submarine. Alright. So these spider slices, I still wanna research. That subject's research is complete. That's the letterhead slicer. I did not mean to use that frag grenade, by the way.
Get out if you can! Get out and we'll regroup!
So this is one of these examples of trying to make it feel like it's a really important, like, time-sensitive action when it really isn't. Now what's weird is we're getting these spider splicer hearts, and I don't think we do anything with them for quite a while. They blew it up.
You ooze in like an assassin, and then you try to sneak out like a thief. You're no CIA spook. Who are you? Why have you come here? There's two ways to deal with a mystery. Uncover it, or eliminate it.
So there's Atlas's family gone. So Atlas is implying he thought I was just going to escape on that. Escape on the submarine, and that I wasn't trying to help his family. Which I guess that probably was the plan, is we were all going to get on that submarine and leave with his family. That makes sense. So I still have some spider slicers research I need to do, and definitely some
The Irish pork pie offered me a deal. I flip him Fontaine and I walk out of here. That's simple. How do I know that fat fuck isn't Fontaine's guy? How do I know they're not all Fontaine's guy? Fontaine's got Adam, and everybody wants it. Brian's got a whole lot of talk and a nice suit. Even down here, any idiot can see which way the wind is blowing.
Interesting. See this little glowing light here, which I assume that's just back this direction. I feel like there should be something I could telekinesis or jump up to. I don't think there is, and I don't think I can get in the water, even though it seems like I should be able to. So we're kind of in a weird position in that we're going to move to the next area, and we still got about 10 minutes of gameplay to play. So it will auto-save, I believe, here. It says loading. That's the weirdness of these days, is that loading and saving kind of need to be the same thing. So we're going to another area. Haven't actually done that much since we spent about 15 minutes watching the developers commentary, but just following the story. And see, you just kind of don't ever come back this way unless you personally miss something.
Moira. Patrick. Ain't that just like Ryan? Waits until we're almost out, then he pulls the string. We'll find the bastard. We'll find him, and we'll tear his heart out.
I came to this place to build the impossible. You came to rob what you could never build. A hum gaping at the gates of Rome. Even the air you breathe is sponged from my account. Well, pretty deep. So later you might remember the taste.
You get to the bathysphere in the rolling hills. That'll take you straight to the devil himself. And then all debts will be paid in full.
Like, I didn't sign on for this. I'm just trying to escape this crazy place. Like, I did not sign up to kill Ryan. Although, I mean, sure, you just killed Atlas's family and all, but is that really my business? I've got 4 film I need to fill up on film. And this is interesting. We are in a graveyard. It seems completely ridiculous you would bury people in the great chain again. Unless you're burying people specifically to fertilize the ground, which seems silly. I just don't think you would spend that effort when you could throw them out into the ocean and do a burial sea type thing. We got a corpse going on. Camera, get me more film, more film.
Seems like some poor blighters have started seeing ghosts. Ghosts? Ryan tells me it's a side effect of this plasmid thing. One poor sod's memory is getting passed on to another through genetic sampling. Leaks, lunatics, rebellion, and now bleeding ghosts. Ain't life in Rapture grand?
There's a line that sounds like it was added for a commercial. We're picking up items now. All of a sudden. Not...
Christ, is somebody there?
Like, things that you would build it. Shell casings and batteries and stuff. Rubber hoses and glue.
Hey,
and
can
like,
you help me, man? Can you help me out?
all of a sudden the game has gotten more RPG.
Oh, Jesus, God, somebody help!
Somebody's calling for help. Shame I can't get these proximity mines. There are 2 little sisters in this level too. Let's see, is there...
Christ, is somebody there?
And nothing in this little mausoleum.
Hey, can you help me, man? Can you help me out?
Where are you?
Oh, Jesus, God, somebody help!
This might be what a 5.1 surround sound would be helpful. So I think we are going to get introduced to some new splicers. A couple of new splicers. What's going on here?
Can you help me?
So that's a Houdini splicer.
Man, can you help me out?
So Houdini splicers are running around flashing. Hiding from me. What's this? It's not burning. Is this supposed to be some kind of Easter egg? That was probably a waste of an Eve hypo.
Hey, over here!
Alright, so this guy's got me running around. So, part of this, I guess, and part of the reason why
hello, beautiful.
So he's got this mask. Part of, I guess, why we haven't been finding things is simply because we didn't have that collectible elements yet unlocked in the game.
Hello, beautiful.
What's funny is he's not attacking me. There's a gene swamp.
Doesn't matter which way you go.
Today, Arcadia was closed off to all but paying customers. The man hires me to build a forest at the bottom of the ocean and then turns a walk in the woods into a luxury. Ryan asked, should a farmer not be able to sell his food? Is a potter not entitled to a profit from his pots? I started to argue with the man, and then I remembered who signed my checks. The only thing worse than a hypocrite is an unemployed one.
Yeah, like, Ryan's philosophy makes no sense in a longer, broader perspective. It's just kind of... It ultimately just boils down to selfishness, is all it is. I mean, you can't call it anything else. Ooh, that was interesting. That the pumpkins could break and nothing else. So that was our first Houdini splicer. Yeah, can I take the earth and use it to grow something that way I can sell it to other people and create different classes, a class of have-nots and haves. So why is this guy here? Like, do I even want to pick up the Eve? I'm done with that research excellence. Some more Eve on that guy. And every time we go, and we've been going about an hour now, so we are again ready to, I guess, save. Saving a new slot seems to work, although the game only did crash like after 3 hours, so maybe in the next hour or 2 or 3 it will crash again. Anywho, I need more money, I guess, and I need more Adam, but otherwise I'm doing very well. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me further, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. And if you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.